Hey everybody, welcome to Indie Author Chat, and I have Kayla Hicks here, who is an independent author she already has several books out, including Kale Stone and Outliers Tale, and she has a new book that's coming out soon. Kayla, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Hi, so I am Kayla Hicks, as she said, and I have a couple books out. I actually had started back in 2017. My first book being Kale Stone Outliers Tale, and I have like a short story collection out, which is kind of some things I threw together and put out there for free. So, if people wanted to sample my writing, there was something already out there for free. They could pick it up and kind of just see what my writing was about. And I have a bunch of different types of genres in there, ranging from action to adventure to mystery. And I have a guest author on there who is a dear friend of mine from high school. So one day we're going to put out something together. We're going to write something together. And I was like, hey, I'm putting together this, collection and it's gonna be for free. Would you like to put your stuff in there? And she was like, yes, finally. So it was just, a fun project to put together. But the new story that I have coming out is called The BackUp Superhero. And it started out as a short story and kind of just grew. Um, I I kind of felt like I was running out of space, and then my beta readers were reading it. They're like, I think you could make this a little longer because we want to know more. And I was like, well, I guess that's not a bad thing. So
No?
um yeah, so it's turned into a novella, and it's pretty much highlights. It follows one girl named Tanzer Girl, and no one has superpowers. It's more so it focuses on levels of superheroes, and she's in the backup category, or level D, the bottom of the bottom. And she pretty much swoops in and does all the hard work, while the people at the very top in level A, I guess the more famous superheroes, kind of take all of the credit. So it talks
Gotcha.
about, yeah. So I kind of felt like that was something that wasn't really talked about when you think about superheroes. Is like who does all the grunt work. Like you hear about sidekicks, but no one really focuses on the sidekicks. So it's just kind of something new to introduce, I guess.
That that's
Um,
interesting. It's definitely a different take. I love how people are, especially independent authors. Guys, that's why independent authors are so awesome, is because we could just turn things completely on their head and not follow the rules and guidelines of what traditional publishing wants to see. So many people are coming up with unique and different twists on the same old genres.
right, right. Um, I guess we're kind of, I don't, I watched, what was it? The superhero show on Amazon. The Boys. That's what it was, and it got me thinking. Like, you have all these people who are high file, famous superheroes, but who does all the grunt work. So it's just kind of interesting to do something where these people don't, they get paid and they're like kind of famous, but not really famous. So there's like scenes where there's one scene where she is chasing a criminal for like 6 blocks, and she's like, oh my gosh, I really hope that this person gives out because I'm going to give out. And this person knocks someone down all these steps and knocks all these people down, and she carries everybody up the steps and takes them up, because the idea is that they're former athletes, or someone that is normally active, or would have gone to be a policeman or a fireman, or somebody that's normally active for their job. And everybody's rescued, and then this lead superhero Goffman pops up, and he's like, hey, how's it going? I see everybody's good. He's like, I'm ready for being on the camera. And everybody's like, no, she saved everybody. And she kind of reluctantly comes back to the spotlight because she doesn't really know if she wants to be celebrity status. So, like
Gotcha.
I said, just a different take on superheroes. But I feel like it might move into something bigger, like maybe more small novellas on different characters, but who knows?
I was going to say, it sounds like there's series potential there. Have you thought about maybe making it into a series of novellas?
um, it's definitely a possibility. Some of the characters I have in there seem like there's more to the world than you would originally think when you read that story. I had some questions of like, there's a guy that owns a bar and his name is Frank, and he he serves all the backup superheroes, so it's like this rundown bar, and he knows everybody's name, but he ends up aiding them later in the story, and it was like, like, what's going on with
What's
Frank?
Frank's story?
Exactly. So little things like that got me thinking about it, that I'm hoping it will open up into something else, but you never know.
Hey, I mean, it's always good to have options.
Yes.
Would you consider it, from the way that you're describing it, I would say young adult or even middle grade, or is it, how would you describe?
I feel like it's going to be bordering between young adult and new adult.
Okay.
Just because I feel like I have, it's not a ton of explicit language, but Frank doesn't exactly beat around the bush in some. And so, it could be, but I feel like more so new adult, maybe on the older side of young.
I'm exactly in the same boat. I'm trying to do kind of a young adult that appeals to, because let's face it, guys, adults like to read young adult. Right. We do. Exactly. I still do. I'm 39 years old, and I still love to read young adult. I'm sorry. I won't apologize.
They have great storylines. I mean, I feel like young adult stories take more risks and go on more adventures than someone that, is like, I don't know. I would say, there's more risks in, the older genres, geared genres, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
they're doing more exciting things in young adult storylines, I would have to say, unfortunately.
That's true. Once you move into the adult realm, let's face it, if you're an adult that's watching this, we all know that being adult is not that much fun anymore. So I mean, with the exception of some of you out there, thrill seekers and motocross, and Shaun White, he's killing it, but Tony Hawk, but for the majority of us adult readers who are at home right now, it's nice to have that escapism into a young adult world where it just seems like the possibilities are endless. So that's, yeah, I don't think that'll change.
No.
So, but go ahead.
Oh no, I totally agree with you. I don't think that's going to change either. I just think that people need that escape, especially now in a pandemic. So
yeah. So working on a short story collection, you got to collaborate with a co-author. How was that? Because I've not yet done that.
Well, so what I did is, the way it started was trying to get myself noticed or get my story noticed. I mean, like we had talked about before, obviously, self-publishing is really tough. So you feel like you're kind of thrown in the deep end with not really much navigation or where to go. So you're kind of figuring out as you go. So I started out with my author page on Facebook. I was throwing short stories on there, trying to pull people in. I started out with different stories in the Kale Stone universe, of other characters, and like that were close to the main character in that story. And then I started doing other short stories in my newsletters. So I just kind of put them all together in a book. I figured they're already done. Why not put them all there? So people can find them in one place. And then I figured, it'd be really great to give someone else, since, obviously I'm not famous or whatever, you don't see me and whatever. But it's just, if I could help somebody else out, why not do it? Why not collaborate and have someone, hop on? Because if I could share some of my readers with them, why not? I mean, it makes the most sense to help each other out.
Absolutely. Altruism is the most sincere form of giving, I think, that you can do. And so, yeah, that's awesome. And some great advice, by the way, that you started kind of teasing these on social media and then put them all into a book. And the short stories are for free on Amazon. Yeah. Is that right? So guys,
Yeah.
I'm going to have all of Kayla's links, by the way, in the description below, so you can go check out everything, including the short story collection that we're talking about now. And I think that does kind of help to give people an idea of the type of author that you are. You know, everyone has their own voice and their own writing style.
Right.
And so to give someone a taste of that is a great way to pull people in and say, hey, I love the way that this author writes. And so it makes me want to check out what else they have.
Exactly.
That's
And
a
it
great
helps
idea.
that right. And it helped I did so many different genres, because then I didn't have a fantasy and she was able to put fantasy in there. So it was actually a good friend of mine from high school. We'd always planned that we would someday write a book. And I said, you know, I've already started. Why don't we'd be like, hey, here's your debut. So her story, I have to say, just blows all of mine out of the water. So definitely check out hers at the very end. It's a different take on the Grim Reaper and how they ferry souls across to the next world. So it was, I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Why don't you have anything out yet? So hopefully she'll put something out soon. And like, this was just a stepping stone to get her name out there. So all good things.
Absolutely. So since you mentioned that you wrote so many different genres and experimented with so many different genres, what do you think is your favorite genre to write?
Oh boy. It's really hard.
I know.
I mean, it's hard because I mean, I started out with a dystopian, dystopian and young adult for my first book.
With
And then
Kale
after that, I
Stone.
kind of right. So after that, I honestly was like, I don't know if I could write another book, because that book took me like 4 years to write. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do after this. It sucked up so much of my life. Can I actually make a decent book again? And then I just started, dabbling around and moving around, and I feel like dystopian and like young adult genres seem to be something I really enjoy. But I have tried trying my hand at like a temporary romance. That was really tricky, because I don't want to throw in a bunch of gushy stuff and people are like, oh, this makes me want to vomit. But it's just, I feel like it's just and that could be someone else's, like, oh, this is really what I like, which I'm not knocking it, but to me it was really tricky. But I have to say dystopian and like young adult or like action adventure are probably like my go-tos. But I mean, I feel like I definitely give people credit that can write in more than one genre, because it's very, very difficult, because it's a different tone and a different voice and different everything.
I'm with you 100%. I did the same thing. I tried to flex my creative muscles and put something out that just didn't. I came back to my original genre, which is young adult fantasy, but because it's just that's where I feel most comfortable writing. And I do have that author envy of people that are able to write I'm sorry, I'm going to mention you, the dystopian post-apocalyptic, because I love to read them. I can't write them. And it's the same with poetry. You guys, I've been really vocal on that on Twitter. I love to read poetry. I just suck at writing it. I really do. But I have a deep appreciation and envy for those of you that can. So
exactly. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I would definitely try with free verse first, because I feel like that's the most like universal. It's like, I don't have to say I'm sticking to anything, but I gave it a try. So
I did. I have my old creative books from like junior high or high school. Y'all, everything rhymes. It's bad.
right.
So, but I did read I did read the description on Amazon and the first bit of Kale Stone, and it's such an awesome, unique storyline. where this young man is given a secret code to save the world. Where did you come up with that? That's so unique. I mean, that's really, I'm drawn in by just that small bit of information.
Well, that's good to hear. It took me like 3 attempts to actually get the description the way I wanted it, so that's good.
Those descriptions are hard, y'all. They really
so
are.
difficult.
You can write an 80,000 page or an 80,000 word manuscript, and when it comes to writing that blurb or the description on Amazon, it's like absolute
Right.
paralyzed. Me too.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
No, definitely not alone.
So I guess very Stephanie Meyer. I had a dream about it. Because I really also enjoy dystopian and sci-fi type things and fantasy. And I kind of just decided to run on it, just someone getting this random code, didn't know what to do with it, and basically had to save the world. So what Kale Stone is, what it's set in, is obviously a dystopian setting, where most of society is put in these, I would say, sections with walls around them, like barriers, and they have all of the resources. They're set into 6 different sections. I guess if you want to think of it in a way like Hunger Games style, like, one's for farming and one has
I was
more
gonna
technology.
say.
Exactly. So the one that's closest to him, which is Kale Stone, is more technology based. And one day, he's out and his mom is really sick, and he's trying to get things that are going to help make her feel better and trade things, because there's no resources in the outskirts where he lives, because everything has been taken in these sectors or cities. So because the idea is that the person that runs all of these cities, Jericho, who's the big mastermind bad guy, wants everybody to follow the way he wants society to go. And if you don't listen to him, he just boots you over the wall. You're just gone.
Ooh, what's over the wall?
So with
is that a secret?
Nothing.
Oh.
There's nothing over there. They've taken most of the livestock, most of, you have to travel really far to get anything. So
Gotcha.
There's not much out there. So he, gets his mom some medicine after training things, and then he goes to sleep and he wakes up and his house is on fire, and he drags his mom outside and he passes out, from smoke inhalation or whatever, and he wakes up and he's like, oh my god, my head is bothering me, it's throbbing, and he pulls this thing out and he's like, what is this? And he ends up having this dream, because it's, partially sci-fi, that something transmitted to him to give him this code but didn't tell him why he needs to use it.
Ooh.
So yes, lots of fun stuff going on there. But yeah, it was really difficult to write, because my first set of beta readers, because first time I wrote something, were like, this is awful, I'm sorry, I did not like it at all. And I was like, oh, ego deflation right there. So
Yeah.
But you're gonna have that, someone's not gonna like what you write, and that you just gotta pull up your big girl pants and be fine with that.
Yep.
But after writing it and writing it and rewriting it, I finally got it to a point where people liked it and were like, okay, this is where I could see it going, and this is what you want to run with. So but the end of the book leaves it on a really big cliffhanger, and the second book, which I would love to do 2 more books, would be in a different character's perspective.
Oh, interesting. So, yes. I like that.
It kind of leaves mystery, because you don't know what happens to the main character Jeremy, and you don't find out till later in the second book.
Gotcha.
So,
no, I understand. And talking about beta readers, by the way, they can be brutal, especially with the young adult genre. And is that Kale Stone is the young adult?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. They can definitely be a little harsh at times, because but you're right. It is about realizing that, it's not always, it's taking that harsh criticism, and if you feel that it's valid, let's be
Right.
honest, if someone says, I really don't like that the main character is a boy, I wish it was a girl. Yeah, I mean, you may not take that piece of, criticism, but
Exactly.
if it's valid and it makes sense, then beta readers can be a really great asset to have, and a critique partner,
Exactly.
as well during the writing process. So, is there anything that, as a self-published author, as an indie author, is there anything that you would love to have known then that you know now? Some wisdom to pass on to indies. I mean, even me, we can all learn, guys. We can all learn from
Right.
each other's experiences, because no two publishing and independent publishing experiences are the same. Um, Everyone makes different. There's so many different mistakes that you can make. So we all make
Right.
different ones. So, is there anything that you do now that you wish that you would have done in the very beginning? I guess kind of leave that
Well,
open ended.
right. I guess I would say, I would have been way more prepared than I was. I mean, I was so happy. Like I said, it took me 4 years to write the first book. So as soon as I finished it, I was like, kick out of the nest. I'm so done. I'm so ready. Like, I'm ready. I just want to ready to read it. And that didn't get me anywhere. I mean, what really helped is word of mouth. Like, being able to give people enough notice. And like, I had a lot of people, that I knew personally that were like, they took a picture of the copy of my book and they would share it and say, "Hey, get this here," or, I really enjoyed this or whatever. And that got me pretty far. But once again, there's really no, like, everything I feel like is not clear cut on how to succeed in self-publishing unless
Yep.
you get into it and actually figure it out. So I mean, I would just say marketing yourself and communicating with people, and the writing community, I would say, is one of the biggest resources or tools that you're going to find,
Yes.
because I luckily have found a great group of people on Twitter that have given me invaluable advice, because they're people that are seasoned and have done all of the stuff before, and they can tell me, you need to avoid that, don't do that, this is what you want to do. And I've found out so much information in such a short time. I just was like, man, I wish I had found you guys sooner, because I could have avoided this and this.
Yeah, I
um
didn't get involved in the writing community at all. I didn't get involved in social media at all until after I had published my first book, which was in January of 2020. And I just joined Twitter and Instagram and all of that in August of 2020. So I waited a full 8 months to
right. But
I almost went backwards. Yeah.
but
So,
once again, who's going to tell you? Like, really, it's like,
yeah, I didn't
there's
know.
not much to know unless you're doing it.
I,
And I
I
feel like,
really didn't. I didn't know that the
right,
writing community on Twitter was so awesome, and that it's so inclusive and like uplifting. And
right,
then the different ads that you can run through different platforms. Draft to digital, I
exactly.
never knew about that.
Yeah,
So my first book just had stayed on Amazon, and that's it for
right.
ever, until I found out about Draft to Digital. And so,
Hmm.
yeah, and all of these things you pick up by being active and
Right.
in the writing community, and starting and jumping in on those discussions and things like that. It is invaluable advice that a lot of people have.
Right. And I mean, I guess the only advice would be just don't give up. I mean, it's really easy
Yeah.
that once you don't, sell or make it to the bestsellers list, that you could
Yep.
just throw in the towel. But really, until you have a good slew of books out there, unfortunately, no one's really going to notice you until you start building a platform for yourself.
Yeah.
It's hard, but you got to stick to it.
Yeah. Tenacity and just, dogged determination to stay the course. I don't know if you feel this way, but I mean, even right now, I'm laid off, and I'm trying to write as much as I can while I have the time to do it. But even after I do end up going back to work, which most likely, I will here soon, I'm still gonna write.
Right.
It's something that once you publish that first book, it's like you're in it. It takes a hold of you, and you're gonna keep going. I mean, hopefully,
exactly right.
Hopefully, don't let don't let a bad review or anything. Everyone has their own opinions, and
right.
That's tough to get a bad review.
Right.
And so, right. I'll share with you, I think the worst review that I have ever had is on Amazon, and it says, what a snooze. All the rest of them are 5 stars, by the way, 5 or 4 stars. And there's this one star review, and I'm kind of curious, like who the person is behind this review, because they obviously just, for some reason, had a personal vendetta against this book. But they said that it's the first book that I ever published, and they said it sounds like a bored housewife wrote it in between carpool runs. That's what it is.
My God.
And I was like, at the time, I was like, I mean, I cried a little. I did. And now I go back and I look at it, and it kind of makes me laugh, because I'm like, you must have really hated this.
I mean, the point is, you put the work into it, and it's easy to tear someone down, but everybody is entitled to their own opinion, and
Yep.
It's hard work that gets you there, and not everybody's gonna like it, and you just have to be okay with it. And I agree, it's completely very difficult. I mean, personally, if I don't like a book, I don't go on my way to write
to slam it.
Just kind of
right.
I just kind of let go, or find the positives, like this was good and this was good.
Exactly.
I mean, someone put in the work to put that thing together, so tearing them down is probably not the best policy.
No, and I just like I said, it made me cry a little bit, but at the same time, I so wanted to write a response and say, 'cause obviously, that it's a middle grade book, guys. It's a middle grade bordering on YA, and so I'm like, number one, why were you reading it? Because the character is like 12, so why are you reading it and being so like harsh to this 12-year-old character? It doesn't deserve it. And then I looked at what else they had reviewed, and they had reviewed nothing else, no other books. So it was like such a very targeted attack on this one book. I was like, what the?
Why?
That's why it makes me laugh now, because I'm like, they really went out of their way to I've never reviewed a book before in my life, but this one was so bad.
Oh,
you got to try and find the positive. You got to try and laugh.
Exactly.
You really do. because it does. People, guys, it's independent authors take it. Kayla spent 4 years, hard work, writing, editing, going through beta readers, for Kale Stone, and that it's a lot of work. It's the same amount of time and work and effort and labor of love that traditionally published authors commit to their books. And so, I mean, there's some amazing indie books out there. I mean, absolutely amazing. And I have my TBR list is like growing
Yeah.
from doing the interviews that I have, because I keep finding new books that I never knew about. Really?
That's exactly right. Right. And it's such a big percentage you didn't even know existed.
Yes.
For everybody to put out, something, and it's just really interesting to see. It's amazing.
So where do we go? From here? I mean, you have series potential with BackUp Superhero. I definitely, I think, and then Kale Stone. So how do you pick which one to tackle next? Where do you think you're gonna go? I'm just curious, just for me.
Well, I am in the middle of a rewrite for the next in the series for Kale Stone. So it's called Gala Stand, an Outliers Tale. So it's the second one. And I also wrote a contemporary romance that I'm querying for, because hopefully something will happen there, but it's a tough business. And I also did write a children's picture book that I am querying for as well, but I cannot draw to save my life, so I'm gonna cross my fingers I find someone, or someone could help me out in the publishing industry with that. So all exciting things. Go.
Yeah, I cannot wait to get my daughter into reading. She's at the age now where she chews on books. So we don't read a lot. She would rather try and grab the page and tear it. And so we don't, and the ones with the thick cardboard pages, she chews on those. So we haven't made it to actual reading yet with her. But
yeah, that was exactly my test model. My daughter, I was like, hey, do you want to listen to a story mommy wrote? And she was like, sure. I'm like, there's no pictures, but we're going to give it a go. So, you got to try to all your audiences, I guess. So, but yes, all exciting stuff coming.
Hey, well, thank you so much for coming on today and telling us about Kale Stone, the series, and the BackUp Superhero possible series. I think I'm definitely going to check out Kale Stone and the BackUp. Well, it comes out. Tell people when the BackUp Superhero comes out, because it's not out yet, guys. It's coming soon.
So actually, with Anna's help, I was able to get it up, because I did not know about this, but you learn something new every day. I put it for pre-order, and it's coming out Friday, March 5th.
So it's available for pre-order now on Amazon, and I'll have the link in the description below for the BackUp Superhero. And March 9th, right? 5th. Sorry, 5th, March 5th.
That's okay. It's okay.
So, but yes, definitely check out all of Kayla's links in the description below, and check out her books on Amazon, and I'll have your Twitter and your Instagram and whatever other social media platforms that you have on your website as well, so that people can check out everything Kayla.
Thank you so much for having me on here. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for taking the time to come on the show. And have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay.